Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursaleen. Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Tasliman kathiran kathira. Amma ba'du, my dear brothers and sisters, I am taking a break from the series of lectures we were doing, 2021 Challenges and Solutions. There are two more lectures, inshallah, in that series to be done. I'm taking a break this Juma because this is the last Juma before Ramadan, and I thought it's important for us to remind ourselves about this great month and this great blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is coming up. So therefore, let us see what we need to do to welcome Ramadan and to get the maximum benefit from it, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, inshallah, in 2 or 3 days from today, we will welcome Ramadan. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us all in a state of strong iman, good health, and give us free time to be able to make the most of this month. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends Ramadan al-Kareem as a blessing and a bonus for us to be able to reboot our lives. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned Ramadan and its special honor, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصم ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر وَلِتُكْمِلُوا الْعِدَّةَ وَلِتُكَبِّرُوا اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا هَدَاكُمْ وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, which means the month of Ramadan in which was revealed the Quran, a guidance for mankind and clear proofs for the guidance and the criterion. So whoever of you sights the moon of Ramadan and is present at home, he must fast that month. And whoever is ill or on a journey, the same number of days which one did not fast must be made up from other days. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intends for you ease and does not want to make things difficult for you. He wants that you must complete the same number of days, which means not more, same number of days. And that you must glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for having guided you so that you may be grateful to Him. Ramadan al-Kareem is the month of the Quran. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open our hearts to His kalam and to illuminate our hearts with it, to give us the joy of listening to it in Taraweeh and the peace and tranquility of reading it on our own. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make the Quran our constant companion in this life, our companion and protector in our graves, and our intercessor when we meet Him on the day of judgment. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us to understand His kalam, to be inspired by it, live by it, and die on it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about the reason He sent Ramadan for us, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyamu kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. Allah said, which means, O you who believe, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may become al-muttaqoon, people who have taqwa, pious people. The purpose of life, my brothers and sisters, I remind you and myself, is to become muttaqoon. People who is a muttaqi? People who are concerned with the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, in all that we think, we intend, we say or we do. People for whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised success in this life and His special reward in the akhirah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends Ramadan al-Kareem to give us a boost, to become muttaqoon. To be a muttaqi is to be concerned about what pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to do what He ordered us to do, and for that reason alone, because He said so. In Ramadan al-Kareem, we are ordered to abstain from things which are halal during the period of daylight, for no reason other than that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us to abstain from them. This is to reinforce in our minds and hearts the importance of obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unquestioningly. We don't question because we know who ordered it, not because we are following blindly. To obey Allah without question is the best example of obedience with awareness and thoughtfulness. Ramadan al-Kareem comes to drive home the point that if we can abstain even from the halal just to please Allah, how much more important it is to abstain from the haram throughout our lives. Ramadan al-Kareem is also an opportunity to change our habits permanently, because habit change is said to take 21 days. With Ramadan, we have 29 to 30 days of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to change our habits permanently so that we obey Him without fail throughout our lives. Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayhi said, life is but an instant, let it be an instant of obedience. I remind myself that all the promises of Allah are for the muttaqoon, people of taqwa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Inna Allaha ma'al ladhina taqaw wal ladhina hum muhsinun. In Surah An-Nahl, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, truly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with those who have taqwa and with those who are muhsinun, people who do even more, who are focused on excellence, who are focused on ihsan. Who can harm the one who is with Allah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that this world and what it contains, He gives to whoever He wishes for reasons that He knows best. These may or may not be muttaqun, but the akhirah is for the muttaqun alone. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Araf about this, قَالَ مُوسَى لِقَوْمِهِ اسْتَعِينُوا بِاللَّهِ وَاصْبِرُوا إِنَّ الْأَرْضَ لِلَّهِ يُورِثُهَا مَنْ يَشَاءُ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Allah said, Musa alayhi salam said to his people, seek help with Allah and be patient. Verily, the earth belongs to Allah. He gives it as a heritage to whomever He wills of His slaves. But the blessed end is for the muttaqoon. And what is that ending? What is this blessed ending? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described it in many places in the Quran, but one of them in Surah Muhammad, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, مَثَلُ الْجَنَّةِ الَّتِي وُعِدَ الْمُتَّقُونَ فِيهَا أَنْهَارٌ مِّن مَّاءٍ غَيْرِ آسٍ وأنهار من لبن لم يتغير طعمه وأنهار من خمر لذة للشاربين وأنهار من عسل مصفى ولهم فيها من كل الثمرات ومغفرة من ربهم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, the description of Jannah, which the muttaqoon have been promised, is that in it are rivers of water, the taste and smell of which are not changed. Rivers of milk, of which the taste never changes. They don't go sour. Rivers of wine, delicious for those who drink, and rivers of clarified honey, clear and pure. Therein for them is every kind of fruit and forgiveness from their Rabb Jalla Jalaluhu. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us all Jannatul Firdaus wala bighayri hisab. Ramadan al-Kareem comes with special benefits, unlike any other time of the year. And so it is essential for us to make the most of it and earn as much as we can. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reported that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, every action a son of Adam does shall be multiplied. A good action by 10 times its value up to 700 times. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, except for fasting, which belongs to me, and I reward it accordingly. For one abandons his desire and food for my sake. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reported that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, there are two occasions of joy for a fasting person. One when he breaks his fast, and the other when he meets his Rabb Jalla Jalaluhu. The smell of the breath of a fasting person is better in the sight of Allah than the fragrance of musk. And this is in Bukhari. Ramadan al-Kareem is not only about not eating and drinking, but about habit change. It is about building patience and forbearance and not being reactive. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reported that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, fasting is a shield. So when one of you is fasting, he should neither indulge in obscene language, nor should he raise his voice in anger. If someone attacks him or insults him, let him say, I am fasting, ana sa'im. And this is in Muslim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always merciful. But in Ramadan al-Kareem, His mercy shines forth even more. I remind myself and you that we humans have only two real needs: hidayah, guidance in this life, and maghfirah, forgiveness in the akhirah. Whoever is fasting, inshallah, is on hidayah. And when he does that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives his sins. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reported that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever fasts during the month of Ramadan out of sincere faith and hoping to attain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's reward, then all his past sins will be forgiven. And this is in Al-Bukhari and Muslim. Just think about that. What does all past sins will be forgiven? What does it mean? It means a total reboot of our lives, an opportunity for a fresh start. Ramadan al-Kareem is about doing more. It is about putting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first and seeking to please Him by worshipping Him more than we normally do. Chief among these extra acts of worship is Qiyamul Layl, which is called Taraweeh, and is specific to Ramadan. It's an opportunity to pray in congregation and to listen to more Quran and connect with Allah's mercy and grace. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reported that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever stands in the voluntary night prayer, Qiyamul Layl of Ramadan, which is Taraweeh, out of faith and in hope of reward, his previous sins will be forgiven. And this is in Bukhari and Muslim. This refers to Qiyamul Layl, which is Tahajjud, as well as Taraweeh in Ramadan. Finally, the deeds that we do in Ramadan will be with us when we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the Day of Judgment, and will be a means of forgiveness for us, inshaAllah. Abdullah ibn Amr radiallahu anhuma reported that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, fasting and the Quran will intercede on behalf of Allah's slave on the Day of Judgment. Fasting will say, O my Rabb, I prevented him from food, from eating and desires during the day, so accept my intercession for him. And the Quran will say, O my Rabb, I prevented him from sleeping at night, so accept my intercession for him. The intercession of both will thus be accepted. And this is in Musnad Imam Ahmad. And then, just when you are saying to yourself, surely it can't get better than this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr, wa ma adraka ma laylatul qadr. ليلة القدر خير من ألف شهر تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. In Surah Al-Qadr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, verily, we have sent it, that is the Quran, down in the night of Al-Qadr. And what will make you know? How will you know what the night of Al-Qadr is? The night of Al-Qadr, Laylatul Qadr, is better than 1,000 months. Meaning, it is worshipping in this night is better than khayrum min. Worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continuously for 1,000 months, which is equal to 83 years and 4 months. And this is not equal to that, meaning the worship in Laylatul Qadr is not equal to that. It is khayrum min. It is better than that, meaning how much better? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. Therein descend the angels and the Ruh, Jibreel salam, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's permission, with all decrees. Peace, salamun, hiya hatta matla'il fajr. All that night there is peace and goodness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to His believing slaves until the appearance of dawn. What can I say? What can you say? What can anybody say? The generosity of our Rabb Jalla Jalaluhu is unimaginable. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us Laylatul Qadr and the tawfiq and ability to worship Him that night in a way that pleases Him Jalla Jalaluhu. Which night is Laylatul Qadr? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us to search for it in the odd nights of the last 10 nights of Ramadan. It is the hikmah, the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He did not reveal which night is Laylatul Qadr, but kept it hidden among the odd nights of the last 10 nights. So don't get involved in discussion and arguments about which night it is. There are different narrations, but the most authentic of them is that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us to search for it and did not mention a specific date. Instead, let us do our best on all the nights and thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His immense bounty. The reward of worshipping in this night is more than the continuous worship for 1000 months. How much more? In keeping with the majesty and grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Finally, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our mother and reward her with the best reward, a lady whose questions and curiosity gave us so many bounties in deen. Sayyidatuna Sayyida Aisha Siddiqa radiyallahu anha. She asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if I find Laylatul Qadr, what should I ask Allah? He sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, say, Allahumma innaka afuwun tuhibbul afu fa'afu anni. Oh Allah, you are forgiving and love forgiveness, so forgive me. Subhanallah, alhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar. My brothers and sisters, alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is incredibly merciful, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will, inshallah, we ask Allah to give us, as I began, Ramadan in good health and iman and the ability and the free time to do the best that we can do. Please understand and remember, as I speak to you today about Ramadan al-Kareem, I am remembering so many of my friends who were with us last Ramadan, but they are not with us this Ramadan. And there are so many of them, old ones and young ones. And I ask myself, and I ask you to ask yourself, did they know that last Ramadan would be their last? Obviously they did not. So do I know if this Ramadan will be my last? I don't know, and you don't know either. So my submission to you is, please let us treat this Ramadan as if it is going to be our last. And the reason I'm saying that, may Allah give you many Ramadans to come in good health and iman. But the reason I'm saying this to you is because whether you live for one more year or you live for 1,000 years, one Ramadan will be your last. And you don't know that, and I don't know that. So let us treat every Ramadan as if it is the last and get the best, the maximum that we can out of it for ourselves. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be pleased with you and never to be displeased. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Jalla Jalaluhu to give you what you ask with khair and afiyah, and then to add to that from His majesty and grace and generosity. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to cover your faults and cover your mistakes with His sattari, with the cover of His cover, where they are not visible to anybody. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you and to enter you into Jannatul Firdausul A'la bi ghayri hisab. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyil kareem wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Ramadan al-Kareem, Ramadan Mubarak to all of you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with you. Jazakumullahu khairan. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Nastaghfiruka Allahumma wa natubu ilayk. Wa assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.